Welcome to the DreamHuge podcast, where we'll talk with real estate investors, entrepreneurs, business leaders, athletes, and more to inspire you with their success stories so you can work hard, never give up, and dream huge. And now, let's start the show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DreamHuge podcast. Man, I'm super excited for this one. Folks, we love to share success stories from entrepreneurs, movers, shakers, real estate folks, and more. And hopefully these stories will help to motivate and inspire you to also dream huge. And today we are joined by my co-host, JP for 3, John Pavlansky. What is up, my man?
What is going on, Pete? Man, I'm excited for this episode. We are talking an industry that we know very well, my friend, and it is real estate. And not only that, we're talking about his real estate story and also talking about what he's doing in the world of coaching other agents and real estate professionals. So super excited about this. And sorry to our guests, but I have to put this quick little disclaimer in there. I know this is going to come out after the episode, but we always say JP for 3. If you want to see me in real live action, balling this weekend, community day at the Friendly House. There's a community basketball game that I will be a part of and sponsored on. So if you want to see JP for 3 in real life, this is your one opportunity to do so. So but I got a question as well for you, Pete. How are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing excellent, man. JP's giving back to the community and having fun while doing it. It don't get much better than that. I'm doing outstanding as always. I got the mustache coming in. Maybe I'm hanging out with JP a little too much. But hey, man, we got a very special guest today, Jim Remley. So Jim has gone through the real estate business. He was, correct me if I'm wrong, the largest independent broker in the state of Oregon. So we love that. We love independent brokerages. Huge. We are an independent ourselves. So we're going to pick his brain on that. He is also the owner of eReal Estate Coach, coaching agents and brokers both, I would assume. So we're going to dive into that as well and just share his success story and how that he got to where he is today. So welcome, Jim. How are you, sir?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be with you guys both. I'm excited to be on the program.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking the time. So let's start right at the top. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do now currently.
Yeah, so I am a real estate brokerage coach is my specialization today. I've specialized in growing companies. My quick backstory, 2-minute backstory. I got in the business when I was 19, college dropout, worked in a lumber mill before I got my real estate license. Buddy talked me into getting a real estate license, and I went ahead and did it. And at 19, I had $1,500, and I was driving a Chevy Citation. That's all I had to my name. And I got in the business, and I did okay, but not great during the first 6 months. But the one thing I did well was I learned from everybody around me, went to seminars, read books, took it all in. The problem was none of my friends were buying houses. They were all at keggers and parties. So I had to really quickly adapt and say, what am I going to do to make a living in this industry? So I adapted quickly. I went from basically nothing to 1% in the top 1% of agents nationwide in the second year of my business. Listed 150 properties my second year, and then opened my first real estate company at 24, grew that to 17 offices in the state of Oregon, became the largest independent in Oregon over a period of time. And then I got recruited to work for NAR. I taught all the NAR designations for about 10 years, and then came back and did it again. Had to prove it that I could do it twice. So see if I could strike lightning twice. I came back and helped another guy, a buddy of mine, became an owner in this company in Southern Oregon. We grew an office from 38 agents to 250 agents, went from $100 million in business to $1.4 billion in sales over about a 10-year period in a small town of population base of 80,000. So that's my claim. That's all my claims to fame there. That's my card there.
Sign me up, baby. Sign me up. I would like to go from, what are we at right now? About 50, 60 million up to $1 billion, in a similar sized town.
You can do it.
Yeah,
it's absolutely doable.
The pitch is over, right, JP? Sign me up.
The pitch is over, man. Yeah, no, and Jim, I mean, I started real estate when I was 20,
There you
so
go.
it's similar paths in that sense.
Yeah.
What was the transition like for you from starting out as an agent to then becoming a broker owner, and then to becoming a coach? How did those transitions go? What were some trials and tribulations of those experiences?
Great questions. Well, first of all, I fail forward. I think every great success is built on a mountain of failure. And there's an instant gratification kind of society today that we're all expecting instant gratification, instant wealth. It's just not true for the people that are really successful. People that are successful go out there and just work hard, and they figure it out. So I arrogantly thought that I could just take, because when I took off my own production in my little county, my partner and I, we were the second most. We would have been the second biggest office just with our production, right? As soon as we left our company, we'd be the second in production. So I thought, oh, this will be easy. We'll just move our production out of our office, put a banner over the top, and we'll rock and roll, and we'll be number one instantly. That's not what happened at all. Because when you leave production and you start focusing on running a brokerage, it's a whole different ballgame, right? So what we do as realtors is we sell real estate. The first thing I tell real estate brokerage owners and leaders and team leaders is that when you transition out of being in production and you move to becoming a brokerage or team leader, your job then isn't selling real estate. Your job is to recruit people that sell real estate. And your customer is the agents that work for you, and their job is to go out and sell real estate. So that took me a while, man, to figure that out and say, I've got to transition my mindset to my number one job now isn't knocking down a listing or knocking down a sale. My number one job is recruiting an experienced agent who then goes out and sells real estate. So as soon as I made that transition mentally, that's when my businesses started taking off. But it was a process. I'll tell you.
Yeah. So with that, a follow-up question to that, Jim.
Yeah.
Did you still sell? Did you do a team lead? Did you do a team at all, or did you jump right to the brokerage route?
No, I was one of the first guys in the nation really that started a team back in the early 90s. It was me and another guy, and we had an assistant, and everybody's like, what do you guys put your names on properties together for? What are you guys romantically involved? What is your deal? Why are you guys doing this together? This is really weird. Nobody could wrap their hands around it. They're just like, what is happening? So, we were not romantically involved. We both had wives and girlfriends and the whole thing. But not at the same time. But we definitely grew a team, and it was one of the first teams in our market area, certainly. And I think one of the first teams definitely in the state of Oregon. And so we started with that, and then we transitioned that over to opening our first brokerage. But it was just a process. That was definitely a process.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you sell real estate when you still did the team lead part?
I did. When I was running the team, yes, we were definitely both massively in production. And then once we broke out of that, we transitioned over to doing just the brokerage, and we're pretty much exited production at that point. But it was a process. In retrospect, I will tell you that the most profitable part of the industry today is team leadership. So if you're running a successful team, you're by far making way more money than the brokerages. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, the team leaders are the ones that are crushing it now for money, actually net dollars coming in the door.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it has to be that way, or else agents would leave and start their own.
So what's happened is a shift. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. It's an interesting question. See, what's happened over time is that in the old days, the brokerage, because there wasn't an internet and people had to come to us to the brokerage to actually get information about real estate, the brokerage kind of held the keys to the kingdom. If you had a good location, if you advertised a lot, you get buyers and sellers to come to you. As the internet has just driven consumers just to interact directly with agents, the lead shift has gone to the agent. Leads are now flowing to the agent. And so it's all about lead flow. The person that controls the leads controls the profit. So you're right. An office that does not provide leads in any good sense, what are they offering? That's the question mark. They're offering brokering, and they're offering a little marketing. They're offering a little this, a little that. But that has a capped price on it now. So everybody's working on a cap, and the caps are under pressure. And so you're working for a very small number. But I will tell you, I coach some of the most successful brokerages in America. I just got one of my guys' numbers this morning, which just totally blew me away. But when you focus on delivering quality leads to agents, and you can say to people you're recruiting, you close 3 deals. By the way, 50% of all the agents in America closed 1 deal or less last year. 50% of the agents in America. So if I can go to you and you closed 1 deal last year, I can say I can give you 5 highly qualified leads or 10 qualified leads a month. You're going to say, absolutely. But here's the caveat. You're going to work for me for a 50-50 split. Or you're going to work for me for a 60-40 split. Or you can be back where you're at 100% and get 1 deal a year. Go for it. Go work for the 100% company and get 1 deal a year. Or you can be with me and I'll deliver leads to you. So that's going to be the model for the top team leaders in America, and the model for the top brokerages that are making the most money in America. I believe is going to be a massive shift over the next 5 years. And the shift will be who can deliver not just leads, but curated leads, which is a whole different conversation. But the lead flow is what controls the profit flow.
I love it.
Absolutely. Great perspective there. The model has changed. And you know who survives is not the strongest, it's not the fastest, it's not the smartest. It's who can adapt to change. That's who will survive in not just this game, but any game. Okay, so I want to step one back, though, Jim. You talked about when you first started out and first got into the game, because we have a lot of young agents on the team. And you were struggling with your sphere of influence was nothing but a bunch of keggers hanging around. And but then you said you quickly adapted and then you took off from there. So what did you change to adapt to a different sphere?
Well, basically I had zero sphere because all my sphere members were not ready to enter the market, right? Eventually they did, but in the beginning they didn't. So I had to go after, and I had to lead generate and go after new business. So for me, that what that looked like for me was I went after for sale by owners. I became absolutely dominant with for sale by owners in my marketplace. I became absolutely dominant with expired listings in my marketplace. And then the third leg is that I dominated absentee owners in my marketplace. So I was the number one player in all 3 of those categories in my market. And then what happened from that is I started meeting people that were older that could afford to buy and sell real estate. And those people became my sphere. And so the question I get a lot from people that are like 19, 20 getting into the business is, when I go to somebody's house, I feel intimidated because they look at me like I'm just out of high school. Why would they entrust their largest financial asset to me, right? And my answer to that is it's easier than you think it is, because as long as they know that you have the best of intention and you're hardworking, my conversation was always the same. I'd say, Pete, yeah, I'm younger than most of the agents you're going to talk to. There's no doubt about it, but I'm also hungrier. I will outwork every single person that you have interviewed at this place, and I will work day and night till I bring you a client. And by the way, you're one of a handful of clients for me. So when you work with me, you're getting all my attention. So I'm gonna work nonstop till I get your home sold. And people, when they say, you know what, I can relate to that because I remember when I was a hungry kid, and they look at you as their son, they look at you as their grandchild. It's game over. Now you're going to get all the referrals, and once you close a deal, you're going to be like a referral magnet with these people. It's going to be nonstop referrals for you. And actually, I think you have an advantage that way because they look at you as a part of the family almost.
Pete, does that sound familiar or what, man?
JP, do you ever hear anything like that?
Why? It's Jim. You just almost recited exactly what I tell our newer agents when they ask me. Well, I'm new in the business. I'm young. I got the baby face. I just made a joke the other day with some clients and said, yeah, I know I've got the baby face and everything, but listen, I'm the number one agent in our MLS, and here's how much I did. I'm qualified, and you can qualify yourself that way. And also, when I first started, that was the exact same thing I told everybody. Well, I tell this funny story real quick. I had this lady I got to a showing with one day. This was right when I started in real estate. I wasn't too deep into it, and she. When I opened the door, she said, did your parents come with you today? Did you just finish your classes? It was hilarious. But again, the same thing that you just said. Listen, I'm going to outwork every single person, every other agent that you know, because I am young. I'm incredibly hungry. I want this to be a long-term career for me. And I'm going to work my butt off to make sure you get what you want. And I'm going to do it to the best ability. And I'm going to make sure I put you in something that you like. Because if I just try to sell you on something, you're not going to come back to me the next time. And I want to be able to do 10 more deals with you. I want to sell this house for you and help you buy the next one and the next one and the next one. So no, I freaking love that. And that's something that we we have said word for word to our new agents is utilize that as a pro rather than a con. Yes, I'm newer, but I don't have 20, 30 clients I'm juggling like a lot of these other established agents.
That's your advantage. You lean into your strength. There's a strength in every weakness and a weakness in every strength. And so when you're young and aggressive, you got boundless energy. That's your advantage.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you dominated for sale by owners, expireds, and absentee owners.
Yeah.
How did you dominate those?
Those three categories. Well, let me start with absentee owners for a second. So absentee owners, the reason why absentee owners for me was such a win is because, first of all, most absentee owners don't live there, so they're not going to meet me. So they didn't know how young I was. So that was one of my secret advantages there, right? When I was really young.
Do you have a deeper voice?
Yeah. I didn't then. I look old now, but I looked young when I started 35 years ago. So when I would target absentee owners, I'll just tell you my theory on absentee owners. First of all, I'll tell you a quick story about how old I am. Back when I started, the microfiche was how the tax databases were organized. So it wasn't computerized in my county. I had to go out. I bought a 356K Dell computer. It was like $1,800 30 years ago. It was super expensive. I hired an assistant, Jennifer. She came in. I bought a microfiche machine, spent $160 on the microfiche. She transferred by hand every single one of those records into a DOS Excel spreadsheet. I computerized the county records before the county computerized the county records. So we created a 68,000 person database of everybody in the county. Then I was able to sort it by absentee owners. And then I had an absolute gold mine. So what I do with the absentee owners, though, I can tell you, because I'm a guy that would send out 8,000 pieces of mail a month and became my go-to thing. And I can tell you all the numbers behind mailings. But with 8,000 pieces of mail, you're never doing a postcard. Postcards in general don't work at all. You just throw out postcards for everything. Don't use a postcard. When you're sending out a piece of mail, it's a number 10 envelope, white envelope, stationery, high bond stationery, a little thicker than normal, color stationery with your logo on it. Today, use a digital signature. 3 paragraphs. Every paragraph has 1 to 2 sentences, no more than that. And it's going to be very, very simple. And of course, we're using mail merge. And so we're going to say, hey, we noticed that you own a property over 123 Johnson Street, but you also don't live in this market area. Have you ever considered moving your investment dollars somewhere closer to home that you can actually drive by the property on a regular basis? It looks like you live quite a ways away from your property. I have several cash buyers that would be interested in providing you with a cash offer in your home. If you'd be interested in having a conversation, please give me a call. Along those lines, right? And now the nice thing is they have no relationship with the local realtor because they don't live here. They're not emotionally connected like their own personal home. So they're always open to an offer, right? And they're willing to talk to me because I have a live buyer, and I did have live buyers, right? Live buyer mailings are the best. And so you can get to a 2, 3, 4, 5% positive response rate on those mailings, which you can make an absolute fortune on. So there's, that was one of my methods for sure. And absolutely lost your audio there, Pete.
Sorry, mailings.
Yes.
No mailings. But creating your own database before the county even had one, and then applying direct mail to that.
I can give you a couple things today with technology, how technology has changed mailings today. First of all, today we did it ourselves in-house and printed and everything. It was a nightmare. Today I would outsource all that. So there's companies like Rocket Mail and Express Copy that will do all this work for you. You're just kind of putting the pieces together. And now you can sort. And the way I would sort, if I'm doing mailings just to a general neighborhood, the number one seller in 2024 is somebody 45 to 55 years old, own their house over 15 years. That's your number one seller. So I'm just doing not absentee owners, but just regular mailings. That's what I'm doing. But I'd also send it through AI. So companies like Likely.ai, which is a good example. There's a ton of them out there, but Likely's one where I can take a database of 2,000 people, feed them in, and it will say, based on 500 data points that they've tracked, these are the 100 most likely people to sell out of the 2,000 you just fed me. And now I'm going to target those 100 and maybe go more, I would say more vertical. And what I mean by vertical is instead of doing a one-piece mailing, I might send them a whole CMA because I'm only doing 100, not 2,000. So I might do an in-depth CMA on each one of those and say, hey, I've just done a bunch of deep research in your neighborhood. You look like somebody that it may at some point in the future maybe considering selling your home. If you are, I've just completed a complete 88-page CMA on what your home value is. I haven't been in the home, so it's not completely dialed in, but it's probably within 5 to 7% of value. And what you're delivering to them, and you have your assistant do it, you're delivering it the NARRPR.com, which is free to all of us as realtors, their CMA, which is just our version of an ABM model. So I send that with a cover letter. Now I'm doing that to 100 people instead of 2,000, going vertical. That's killing for a lot of my students. They're crushing with that.
We've got an agent in our office that's actually been doing that. Nobody told him to, I don't think either. I think he just started doing it. And he started doing CMAs and sending them out mailers, and he does consistent mailers. And he's been in the business for 6 months, killing it. He's been one of our top producers month in after month. So, yeah.
Shout out DA.
Yes, sir. Shout out DA, man.
Dustin. Awesome. Love it. What do you, shifting over to the brokerage model, where do you see brokerages are coming up short? Where and how can most brokerages improve?
So here's the number one mistake that brokerages make, and I made it myself. I'm a slow learner. It took me 5 years to figure this out. When I got in the industry as a broker, I thought, well, here's what I'm going to do, and I did it for the first 5 years. Is I would do a seminar, a career seminar once a month, and I would rent out a hotel room, and I would do a bunch of marketing, and I would go there and I would talk to people that are thinking about getting a real estate license. And I would, have 30, 40, 50 people in the room. 3 or 4 of them would be, yeah, I want to get my real estate license. This sounds exciting. Out of that, I might get 1 or 2 that would sign up with me. And I grew my company. But what I learned after doing this for 5 years is that there's an 87% attrition rate in our industry. And it doesn't matter how good your brand is, your marketing, your technology, even your lead flow, your staffing, your location. You as a broker could be the most amazing broker in the world, and it's still an 87% attrition rate because it has nothing to do with you or what you're doing. It has everything to do with what they are doing, right, in the industry. So that 87% attrition rate, the problem is you're spending all this enormous amount of time and energy as a broker feeding into these new people that, 9 out of 10 of them are not going to make it. But let's call it 8 out of 10, be generous. Let's say 2 of them make it after 2 years. Here's what's going to happen. One of them is going to say, Jim, it's been great, but I've started with you. I got to go experience what it's like to be over XYZ because I think the grass might be greener over there because they're constantly getting recruited if they're any good at all. So now you lose 1 and now you're down to 1 out of the 10 you recruited. So the number one mistake is focusing your energies around new agents. I still love new agents. I still recruit new agents. I still welcome new agents because I was a new agent. We were all new agents at one time. But if I'm going to build a real estate company that is profitable, my number one focus has to be recruiting experienced agents. And how we define that, and this is what I specialize in, how we define that is agents that have been in business over 2 years. They've made it past the threshold and kind of that initial initiation, the hazing that goes on in real estate. And then I'm targeting people that are doing $2 to $10 million in production. So if I can help them go from 2 million through my coaching, mentorship, technology, everything else, go from 2 million to 4 million. Now they're a raving fan. Now they're never going to leave me. They've already been somewhere else. Now they're going to tell their friends and they're going to help me recruit. Take somebody from 4 to 8 million, 6 to 7 million, the whole thing. I mean, this is where you build a company really rapidly and you build profit rapidly too.
I love it.
Focus on them top producers, treating them well. It's the old 80-20 rule. It's the old 80-20 rule. So true. Yeah. And another thing we do a little bit differently here, just a little bit about us, is we focus on real estate investing first and foremost.
Okay.
So that is my little differentiator in the marketplace. Because caps, commissions, they're all going to be similar, right?
Yeah.
What really sets you apart? Well, number one, according to you, is leads. Who has the leads? And are they quality leads? And then, I'm huge on investing. And I want everybody on our team to have the same mindset. So some more than others, but that's what we do.
Well, one thing too that kind of goes along with that whole story is we just had this conversation with our brokerage leadership team is you want to become a category of one in your market. When you talk about investing, that can create a category of one in your marketplace where you say, we're the only company that's teaching investing or helping agents invest. And that can create a unique selling proposition in and of itself, your USP. I look at it from the perspective of there's 6 or 7 problems that agents have, and you got to figure out a unique way to solve those problems. You're solving one with wealth creation, which is a huge problem for agents. They don't know how to build wealth. So you're solving that problem. And as long as you can clearly articulate that in a stunning visual way, and you can talk about that, that will recruit a lot of people, in my opinion. Leads is another problem. Follow-up is another problem. Those are two other huge things, and if you can solve those problems, now you're going to be able to help. You're going to be able to recruit people.
Beautiful. What are some of those problems? I mean, I know you mentioned some of them, but if you said like the biggest problem from an agent standpoint compared to a broker standpoint, an agent who's just not successful, they've been in the business for multiple years. They're still hitting the grindstone. They're contacting all their friends and family. They're doing social media stuff. What is their kryptonite? What's keeping them from reaching their potential?
Well, 90% of them are not doing their sphere of influence correctly. So that the sphere and I will tell you, CRM and sphere go hand in hand, right? So they're probably either the company doesn't have a CRM or the company has a CRM and they're not using the CRM, right? And so they're not managing their sphere correctly. If you want to create then you say, okay, what can I do to solve that? Because you can have all the technology in the world, only about 20% of your agents will use it, right? So 80% don't use it, even though you have it out there. So you have a best CRM, you've invested in Chime or whatever you're using, Lofty now, whatever you got, right? Follow Boss. But then how do you get them to use it? So the other solution is you might say, we're going to have an assistant for everybody that wants to pay, and it's not free, but you want to pay to have an assistant manage your sphere. And they're not going to do the active contacts, but they'll do everything else but the active contacts, right? They're going to send the cards, they'll do the emails, they'll do your email newsletter, they'll help you with social media, they'll do all this, and that's going to cost you X dollars a transaction for the CRM platform or CMA platform. So I would say CRM and sphere of influence is one. Another one is follow-up. A great example of this with follow-up is OpCity. You guys have heard of OpCity, now owned by Realtor.com. So what did OpCity do? They said, what's the number one problem for realtors? The number one problem for realtors is about 75% of all real estate leads are never followed up on. They're just not. So what they said is, let's turn this into a business. And they did. They said, we'll take your leads and we'll follow up on them for 3 years. We'll have 25 contacts over 3 years. We'll qualify them. We'll get them all ready. And then we'll do a layup to you, hand that lead off to you with live contact, live handoff. And for that, you're going to pay us 35% referral fees. And that business took off like wildfire to the degree that they sold that company for several $1 billion to Realtor.com. And you can think about that and you say, oh, I guess I could do that as a company. What if we solved the follow-up problem for our agents? We had some kind of follow-up system that we're hiring at maybe a virtual ISA that follows up on all leads or, something along those lines. That's a whole nother problem that needs to be solved. Another problem for most realtors is they like to think they're great marketers, but most of them are terrible. So marketing is a whole issue. So everybody thinks they're a Canva expert and they're going to create all these, and most of it's terrible, right? Let's be honest. So having a marketing director in your company and being able to produce amazing marketing materials, that's another advantage. There's a lot of things like that. I would just drill down to it because you guys are both you guys are in production. Just say, what's my biggest problem? And when you look at it, you'll figure it out real fast. And then fill that. There's a great book called The Obstacle is the Way. That's what you got to look at. What's the choke point for realtors? What's the obstacle? Because most realtors are really actually pretty good with people. In my experience, most realtors, when they get with a client, they can usually close the client. The problem is the follow-up after and getting to the point of having a client, right? So it's both ends behind that. That's the challenge. That's the choke point.
Beautiful. And Jim, this is right in line with what everything you said. Every agent that I've mentored at our agency, those are the biggest things. I tell them the most important thing in my entire business, my business would not run if I didn't have a CMA or a CRM. Yeah. You need a CRM and you have to utilize a CRM on a daily basis and continue to follow up with people. Because if you have that CRM, that handles your second issue right there that you just said is following up.
Yeah.
The CRM is going to do it for you almost. And even if it doesn't do it for you. Like I use HubSpot at the free base version. I pay $0 for it. And every single morning when I wake up in the morning, when I'm going to the gym, I look at all my tasks, my 15 to 30 tasks that I have a day, and I start getting and texting people and calling people while I'm in the gym. I'm getting my pump in and I'm calling and texting and working at the same time.
Love it.
And that alone has it absolutely skyrocketed my business. What we say all the time is just follow up, use a CRM. I mean, I couldn't have said it better in that case scenario there. So I'm glad that we could hammer that down a little bit more. And we got some good material for the meeting tomorrow, Pete. I think we're picking up some good material here from Jim.
Yeah, here's what's rough for me. JP gets it, but like you said, 80% of the agents don't.
Yeah.
And even though I have a saying, it says this: follow up until you die.
Right.
And that goes in one ear out the other. But that's in there. I said, when you got to, I'll supply a lead, and they'll say, yeah, I called them and they didn't answer.
Yeah.
And I said, and then what?
Right.
You never called them again? Or I
Yeah.
texted them and they ghosted me.
Yeah.
And then what? One text? Follow up until you die. But it's still on me because I have no system in place besides me just saying that.
Well,
Right?
and here's the thing with and I've been where you're at. I ran a test, a head-to-head test, and my company spent $6,000 a month with Realtor.com and $6,000 a month with Zillow. Head-to-head test to see which one would provide the highest quality leads to my agent body. Right? I said, you guys all say you're great. Let's see if you're great. So I put the money up. Let's do it. Let's rock and roll. The problem was not the leads. It's exactly what you're saying, Pete. We hand the leads off. It's not the lead. It's the agent on the other side of the lead that's the problem, right? And so you have the best leads in the world. They can still screw them up, right? It could be a total layup, like go get the listing. They'll still screw it up. So what do? What we did is we said, we got to put something in between these agents and the lead because the agents are the ones that are screwing up. So these offices that can get trapped in, I'm just going to spend $1 zillion on lead flow. That's not going to solve it. You got to have somebody that's handling the leads before the agent touches it and after the agent touches it, right? So what we did, and it's going to sound shocking to some people, before OpCity was bought by Realtor.com, we took our entire lead flow and we sent it to OpCity first. People are like, what, are you crazy? And we're like, because now you're going to pay 35% on all those leads. Like, you're taking your own office leads and handing them to OpCity to filter back to your agents? Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because those OpCity operators will call every lead within 5 seconds, and they will stay with that person for 3 years until those people get qualified. They hand it back to our agents as a live handoff, and then the agent just goes out and shows the house and sells them a house. That's the difference, because that OpCity will just stay with them, and our agents won't do it. That's just the reality of it. So when we did that, our close rate went from about 3% to 18% on online lead flow. So that's where you actually start making money on lead flow. The offices that don't do that get crushed. You can't buy enough leads to make it make sense. It just doesn't work.
Incredible. Well, and it's the truth. And we see it on a daily basis. So dropping some absolute gems in here, Jim, absolute gem. So we talked about your journey into real estate and how you got to where you are. Now, in terms of the coaching, because I'm sure hopefully a lot of agents and a lot of brokers and a lot of team leaders are listening to this and trying to pull some nuggets from here. What does the coaching program look like for you? Are there weekly calls? Or is it, do you have consistent access to speaking with you at any time? What's all that look like, and what's the price point?
So we have 2 different tiers. So we've got agent coaching and then we got brokerage coaching. I specialize in brokerage coaching, but we got an amazing agent coaching program as well. So here's what brokerage coaching looks like. First of all, we don't have 150 coaches out there. There's a lot of coaches that do that. It's not what I'm doing. It's me. When you work with me, you're working with me. I have a little team around me. So I meet with my brokerage coaching students twice a month on the first Thursday and third Thursday of every month. And what we do during those sessions, it's accountability based, because as brokerage owners, who we answer to? There's nobody that we're answering to, right? So we answer to each other, and it's accountability based. So everybody at the beginning of the session says, hey, what'd you get done the last 2 weeks? Everybody says, I got this done, that done, this done. And then I give guided coaching for an hour, which is focused on recruiting, retention, technology, systems, profitability. So I'm focused on those 5 categories. And then at the end of that, through that guided coaching, and it's highly specific nuts and bolts, specific scripts and technology and ideas and things that are very specific. At the end, everybody raises their hand and they say, okay, here's what we're going to do for the next 2 weeks. And they make a commitment to themselves, not to me, to themselves. And so we have 30 to 40 offices from across the country. It's a mix. About half are independent companies, and then every franchise you can think of. We're agnostic. We're not talking franchises. We're just talking about running real estate companies. In between the 2-week sessions, you always have full access to me, so that the brokerage owner, team leader can call me, talk to me. We can hop on a Zoom call one-on-one, and we can interact, and we can really work through some problems and challenges that they might have. They might be getting into recruiting a team or get an objection from somebody trying to recruit, and we walk through that. And then what happens is every single person at that company gets access to my agent level coaching, which I'll talk to you about here in just a second. So it doesn't matter if they got one agent or 500 agents, they get access. Now, here's the number one thing that I believe will define a real estate company's success or failure, which is I measure all my managers by this. It's per agent productivity. So let's say that we said, hey, let's look at your company today. Let's look under the hood of your company today. If we're looking at the average of your agent production, what did your average agent do last year in terms of closed deals? I already told you that 50% of all agents in America close one deal or less. Well, what about your agents? What do they do? And let's just assume that number was 6. There's a major franchise out there, and that number is 6. And that sounds low, but it's actually, better than most. So whatever that number is, we got to find a way to get your number higher, because that's going to be what's going to attract agents to your company. If your company suddenly gets to 10 deals, 12 deals, 15 deals, you're going to start to attract agents. One of my claims to fame, our little company in a population base of 80,000, we're in the top 500 companies in America, and we've been there in the last 10 years by agent productivity, by per agent productivity. So our average agent is closing 14 to 15 deals a year. Some are doing more, some are doing less. But what we do is we give your agents at everybody's companies access to my same coaching for agents to help them get their productivity levels up. So what that looks like is they get a 20-week fast start. All of them get 20 weeks of coaching with me every single day for 20 weeks straight. Think of it like the Netflix of coaching. And then they get hundreds of downloads. So if I'm talking about a text, a script, an email, whatever they need, social media posts, they can download it and go use it in the market right then and there. And then we give them 3 live coaching sessions every single week. So Monday Momentum, I just did one this morning, 30 to 40 minutes of the best ideas from the best agents from around the country. And then we back that up with the notes from that session, everything I've just talked about in writing. We do a Wednesday workshop where I bring in a technologist that talks about real estate technology. And then I do a top 1% agent, kind of like what you guys are doing today, where you bring in a top 1% agent and we interview them every week. So all the agents get that. And then 2 last things we give to everybody is we have a full-time marketing director. He produces amazing marketing tools for our team and every brokerage coaching student. And these are all Canva friendly. The one we just rolled out this week is a complete buyer presentation because of the NAR challenges that are coming and the NAR changes. Complete, beautiful buyer presentation for agents to plug into. But we also give everybody a social media package every month, 15 to 20 different posts, all customizable in Canva, and agents flip for that too. So that's kind of what our coaching looks like.
That's amazing. Yeah. Now, the big question for everybody, Jim, and I know you may try to work around it a little bit too, because most people are really asking this. What's the price point look like for a broker and or an agent if they wanted to get involved?
So what's it cost? So I'm very transparent. So for an agent, let's say you're just an agent listing and you say, hey, my brokerage isn't a part of this, but I want to be a part of it. So for agents, the first month is $1. It's $1 for your first month just to come in and take it for a test drive. Just see what you like. See if you think you like it. And you get everything. Okay, no contract, you're just jumping in. And then if you decide to stay in it, it's $147 a month. It's one of the most affordable coaching programs literally in the country. 100%. So it's people get in it. We very, very rarely do people leave. So $1 to start. For brokerage owner leaders, it doesn't matter if you've got one office or, one agent or 100 agents or 500 agents, which we have some offices like that. The price point for a monthly is $697. So it's $697 a month. They can cancel anytime for any reason, no contract. Or they can go on an annual plan. They go on the annual plan. It takes it down from $697 all the way down to $497. They save $200 a month. So they save $2,400 for the year, 28% savings if they go for the annual plan. So that's our 2 programs. Now, this is being recorded as of 2024. If you get to 2025, the pricing will be different. But once somebody starts, their pricing never ends. So they stay at the same price point regardless, even though our prices continue to rise.
Amazing. Jim Remley, eRealestateCoach.com, just helping people succeed. The more people you help, the more success you will have. It's that simple.
Absolutely.
All right. Are we ready? Do you still have time to jump into the huge 4 and then the rapid fire round, and we'll let you get going?
Yeah, hit me. What do you got?
All right. Oh, yeah. Are you ready for the huge 4 questions of the day? Number 1, what's the one thing you wish you would have known when you began your career, Jim?
One thing I wish I would have known, I wish I would have understood more clearly that I should have been taking every single person that I met every single day and putting them into my CRM. Because then I didn't have a CRM in the beginning. I was just going crazy trying to make things work and make a living. And if I had started over at day 1, adding everybody to your CRM, you can make a fortune.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Say it again, Jim, for the ones
Yeah.
in the back.
Yeah. You gotta build that sphere, your sphere. 10-to-1 ratio. For every 10 people in your sphere, you close one deal. That's the numbers.
Bang. Awesome. And Pete, I am yelling this out in the meeting from the rooftops tomorrow. What was your biggest failure, Jim, and what did you learn from it?
Oh man, so many failures. I'll tell you really quickly my biggest failure. I got a phone call and this guy said, "Hey, do you do ranches?" And I said, "I'm 19 years old." I said, "Yeah, I'm a ranch expert. When can I come out?" I never listed a ranch in my life, so I go out there and I list the ranch. I'm a good closer. I listed the ranch. It's 1,400 acres. It was a couple $1 million back in 1990. I didn't know what I was doing. I had a company contact me. They said they represented 11 newspapers in Beverly Hills. Do I want to put my ad in there? Of course, like a sucker, I did. Cost me $5,000 in $1990. Didn't get 0 phone call. Then I lost the listing. And this guy that I later became really good friends with took the listing and sold it a month later and double-ended it. He made $220,000 on that deal. And I just blew $5,000. There's a whole funny story behind it, but I was sitting at lunch one day. He says, "Let's talk about our best success stories." And he tells me that where he made $220,000. And I'm like, "Dude, that's my worst. You're on the other side of my worst story." And so he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was your expired listing." Oh yeah, it was, buddy. So anyway,
That's awesome. That's great.
What are the best resources that have helped you along the way?
You know what? I think it's mentorship from people that are more successful than me. So, not being afraid to ask a question, really studying what people are doing. I think I was slow in the beginning to really understand the power of modeling. And I think if you look at the top performers, I don't care if it's Olympians, writers, filmmakers, anything creatively too, it's all modeling. And you got to model the best behavior. So wherever you're at, we all think we're great, right? But there's always somebody that's 3 steps ahead of you. So if you're doing 10 million, there's somebody doing 30 million. Well, what are they doing that's different? Just pick out one thing they're doing differently than you and start implementing. I think that's the big lesson that I wish I would have learned earlier.
Love that one. That one is the truth. All right, last one of the huge 4 here, Jim. What are 2 books that have inspired your success?
Definitely when I was 16, I grew up very poor. So I have that designation of poor, smart, and driven. Have you ever heard that from Warren Buffett? But I think being poor is a motivator, right? So the great book that I read that changed my life was Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins. Can't argue with Tony Robbins. Life-changing book. It talked a lot about limiting beliefs and how you approach limiting beliefs and what can it do to change your mind and change your life. So that was a big book for me. I think more recently, there's a great book called Influence by Robert Cialdini. I think it's one of the best books ever written on sales. So if people haven't read that, I'd highly recommend it.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Excellent. All right, here we go. Right off the top of your head into the rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Good.
What is your spirit animal, Jim?
Lion.
Lion.
Stir it up.
What is your favorite movie?
Oh man, so rewatched Rocky 2 last night, so I gotta say Rocky 2. Boom.
Nice.
A lot of people don't like Rocky 2. You gotta give it a second chance. It's pretty good.
Who is your celebrity crush?
Oh, so many. That's a tough one. I don't. My wife could tell you better than me. It's just whoever's on screen at the moment, man. I wish I could say rapid fire. I can't. I'm terrible with names.
No problem.
Pass.
All good. What do you do in the spare time that you have, Jim?
We ski. So I snowboard. I ski. And we exercise quite a bit. So skiing, snowboard, traveling.
Love it.
If you could have dinner with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Who would I want to? Muhammad Ali. I love fight. I love watching fights. I love fighting in general. So Muhammad Ali, I'd love to hear, his whole backstory and just how he approached everything. So Muhammad Ali would be mine.
The greatest.
Love it. You a boxing guy or a UFC guy, Jim?
I like them both, but I prefer boxing because I'm old school. I'm an old timer, but I love UFC too. I could go either way, but I love boxing. If you had to pick one, I'd say boxing.
I'm a big UFC guy.
Yeah.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
It's got to be a Bon Jovi, anything in the Bon Jovi catalog or Foreigner. Foreigner's always good. Either one of those, bring it on, right?
Come on, Jim. Give us a little Bon
No,
Jovi.
I can't, man. No way. Not
We're
gonna happen.
halfway there.
Living on a prayer. There you go.
We got
There
it.
we
We
go.
got it. We got something. Nice job. All right, we're almost there. What is something you fear?
Heights. Yeah. Heights is my fear. Yep. Which is interesting
being a
because my son,
snowboarder and on a snow skier.
yeah, I've gotten over that fear, and I had a fear of flying for a while, and I'm a speaker, so it's kind of tough, but I got over it. The best way to get over something is do it a lot, right? But my son is a climber; he's a mountain climber, so he didn't get my fear of heights.
Wow. Well. All right, last one in the rapid fire round, Jim. What is your greatest accomplishment?
Raising 4 kids, for sure. That's the hard one.
Yep.
Real estate's easy. Kids are hard.
Sir, that is a great accomplishment. Thank you for joining us, Jim Remley. Final closing thoughts, Jim, JP.
My closing thoughts, my closing thought is if you want to get better, just keep working every day, one foot in front of the other. My secret to success, I tell agents this all the time, identify your 5 non-negotiables. Don't give yourself any choices. 5 things you have to do every single day without question that will take you forward.
Love that. No, I appreciate all the nuggets you gave today, Jim, and just taking some time to talk with us. So, and I will definitely be reaching out. Like I said before we started the call today, I've genuinely been on the lookout for a real estate coach. So
love it.
Yeah,
$1.
Yeah, hopefully we can do something together, man. I'd love to.
Love it.
Might have to give JP and I a little package deal of some sort.
Let's make it happen. Brother.
Where and how can folks contact you or follow you, Jim?
So I'm on all social platforms under the handle eReal Estate Coach. So E like elephant. And then if you go to my website is also erealestatecoach.com.
All right.
A lot of free for any broker owners, team leaders that are listening today. We do have a webinar up right now. It's called Rockstar Recruiting. It's all about the best recruiting strategies that we model from top recruiters from across the country. It's great. It's 2 hours full of content.
Awesome. And where do you find that on the website as well?
It's just right on the top. You log in, you'll see it right at the top.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. Jim's got a follower from a guy that we know, Mr. Ricky Caruth.
Oh yeah, my buddy Ricky. He's been on my podcast. I've been on his podcast. He's great.
Yep,
we just had him on a couple months ago. Yep.
Yeah, Ricky's great. I love Ricky. Good guy.
Awesome stuff. All right, y'all. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, JP. Thank you, everyone, for listening to and watching the DreamHuge podcast. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. And as always, remember the rules. Work hard, never give up, and dream huge. Let's see the guns, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you.
Thank you for listening to the DreamHuge podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For more inspiring content, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at DreamHuge Realty and on TikTok at DreamHuge Inc. Until next time.